Duane, in uh, in the real far country, um, you talk about these controllers who have imposed restrictions on all of us, on all humanity in every country. The diplomats, the kings and the queens and all the like. You say hordes of them will be returning in future lifetimes as imbeciles, mongoloids, retards, grims, and with all sorts of deformities, and a host of other socially unacceptable creature-like qualities. Anyway, what intrigues me is the reference to the mongoloid. You know, a mongoloid is a person belonging to the broad division of humankind, which includes the indigenous people of East Asia, Southeast Asia, and I think some parts of the Arctic. So, except there is a deformed creature called a mongoloid, I want to think that this statement is a little offensive to people of the Mongolian race that are preserved in the yellow race here in the Eastern world. So, don't you think that some of these people may be appalled by this reference? It means to come back as a Mongolian, and you have Mongols in Turkey, the Caucasus. There's some Caucasians who are of the Mongolian race, some in northern China and all the like. So does it mean that these people of these races, of this race, and I don't know, maybe Africans too, are they also included in this view, in this process of coming back with many problems, deformities, and all the like? So could it be that a Mongoloid or even an African is a type of karmic fallout? So what do you say about this?
Well, again, what's referenced there is this starts to be taken too far. Okay, that's all. Mongoloid, that's a term here for a deformity. Okay, that's what it refers to. It doesn't refer to a type of ethnic group or whatever. It's not Mongolian. I don't think I've ever specified that. Okay, whatever. If anything, we've got a lot of Americans that are deformed, all right, purposely, and they've chosen to be that way and all over the world. But realistically, almost anything that's referred to here in some way is offensive, isn't it? It's offensive to somebody. Yes. So words and terms. So when something is said, then the next person says, well, so you mean this and this and this? So things are added to it. I'm just giving a reference to where, as people decide what they do, they collect their own baggage, and the end result is that. And you see it within the aliens and the reptilians, etc. How do you think those individuals got to be like that? To be reptiles and like dinosaurs and devourers and destroyers? How do you think they got to be like that? They just didn't come here in creation like that. a step at a time, they decided certain things and they evolved into what they are now. It's all been choice. And so realistically, what I'm trying to do is warn people, about the choices they make, that, you become the end result. And this is where people come back into this life and they have certain things wrong with them or something like that, or, deformities, etc., because of the choices they made in the past. It's just that simple. But it's not referencing some group or people or whatever. But again, yes, there will always be people that are going to take it personally. Something agitates everybody. So again, you can't sort out all the misunderstanding. When Paul was here and wrote what he did, it's the same thing. Whatever he wrote offended everybody, especially the Vatican, religion, politics, etc. It always offends somebody. That's just how it is. And so again, you take it too far. That's where you got to kind of keep bringing it back in. You see, you got to kind of keep it, focused and sort these things out a little at a time. But again, you're going to see, just like the corporation that Paul started, look at it today. See, it's taken a step at a time, further, until it becomes a huge deformity. And just like politics or whatever, from the day that the so-called United States was created, look at it today. Has it gotten better? Some people think it is because, we have inventions and progress. It's gotten worse. It's all just a lot worse, destroying everything. Everything becomes destructive. Technology and whatever. We never needed these things, but we got them. We're stuck with them. So again, everything is offensive, Charles, and it just depends upon how far you want to take it to be so-called, I guess the idea is politically right, you see. So again, this has all created confusion, and you see it in the news, you see it in the media, you see it in politics, religion, everything. Purposely created confusion to where, this is what he's saying, this is what Duane's saying. He's talking about the Mongolians, okay? Well, okay, fine. Whatever. I can't stop them from saying that, but that's not my reference. I'm just trying to warn people. And so black, white, purple, pink, or whatever your skin color is, those are vehicles. And this is what people haven't been taught. They haven't been taught about their 5 bodies. They just think that they're a human. And then because of the authorities have classified everybody, it wasn't me, the authorities have classified everybody, first class, second class, third class, fourth class, and lower. Okay, people accept this, and then they're outraged and they're offended by it, and they think that they have to fight for these ideas. And it's like all of a sudden, gee, I'm born a black person or a yellow person, and I just don't qualify. Well, again, that's because they haven't had a real education to see that it's not about the body types, it's about your real awareness, and you're here to recognize the true reality life is so you can free yourself from this cocoon. But in the meantime, if confusion becomes your life, then that's all you're going to have. So that's all. That's the reference there. But it's, again, you can take it as far as you want, and it really becomes strange, doesn't it?
Yeah, Duane, it's not really taking it strange, taking it far, No, I just wanted clarification on this, because when people are reading, or when we are maybe explaining something to those who don't know what it really means, they may look at it to be pejorative, and should have the right reference to tell people exactly what is meant. It's not any denigration of any race or something like that. So that's why I wanted to be clear on this. So
Paul also explained certain aspects of races and whatever, the different body types, the different groups of people that have come here and created their communities, and over time they've become whatever they've become. it's through their evolution, deciding it accordingly. And just like in the movies, you see it too, just like Star Trek when they visit other planets, they got different body types in Star Wars, etc. Because these people have decided their community and their civilization a particular way, so that's the way that it's gone. Just like we're dealing with the Orions and the Syrians right now, and they're of a particular, and that's been their choice to be like that. And you see people today, this is what it's become, and it's becoming more robotic now, and people are agreeing to this. But who's deciding this overall? It's the world controllers. They want more people robotized so they can control them. And, for the most part, people are agreeing to it. So as the future comes along, things are going to come out exactly like they keep agreeing to. So these are just warnings, that's all. But when it's taken personally and ethnically, or whatever you want to call it, then it becomes a real distortion, because again, people don't have a real education. They have a one-dimensional point of view. Everything is black and white. Oh, it's this, or it's not that, or it's this, or it's this. It's just all one-dimensional. And so they've got to go further. See, they've got to have more experience to go further. And so just like what is happening with the environment here, some people are stepping up because they see past it, but a lot of people aren't. They don't care. They're just staying one-dimensional, and it's business as usual. See, again, it's all choice. So this is a real challenge to bring something that makes sense to this world. And I see there's a lot to it. There's a lot of parts to it. And for the most part, it will be misunderstood. That's all there is to it. Just like what Paul created, for the most part, it's understood. And look at the people still there. They don't get it. They don't even know where they're at with it, but they think they do. They have no idea what they're following, and they've given their intent and their whole heart and being to. They don't see it. And most Americans and most of the people in the world, they don't either. And especially the people that are revolting against the system, it's the same system they've agreed to. Now they're revolting against it, and they expect the system to agree to them. Does this make sense? So, again, it's all choice. Things come out the way they do, don't they?
You've often told us you've often used the symbol of the sun in the sky, which represents the ALLLISSS. So, does it mean that the ancient Egyptians and other races were after all right in their worship of Ra, the sun god, and some allegations that Christians through hidden symbolism all worship the sun, and it's actually ignorance of the fact that it is the sun. So where do you place this? Where do you place their worship of the sun and the Ra, the sun god, and all the like, with your comparison of the ALLLISSS and the sun?
Well, here again is the challenge to sort things out. So I see the sun as the best reference. There's a difference, Charles. See, what you're looking at in history, these are created ideas, aren't they, that people look to. They create an idea like Ra, the sun god. Okay, so that's a created idea. It's not a reference. And so this created idea is all of a sudden, okay, Ra, the sun god, is, the god or whatever that we look to. That's a created idea. The sun in the sky, all right, see that all of a sudden they're using the sun idea, but not actually the sun itself. So what I'm using is the sun as a reference to the true reality. That's as far as it goes. It's not an idea that's created about it, there's a difference. It's very subtle, isn't it? To recognize it or whatever. But for most literal people, and especially historians, this is what they're going to think. And that is that, oh, Duane's referring to the same thing. He's worshiping the sun. Well, I don't say anywhere in what I've written or said that we're worshiping anything. It's a reference, okay? And that reference, you need to recognize what it's demonstrating, all right? Again, I'm not creating ideas. It's a reference and a demonstration, and not creating an idea that becomes a distorted reality, as has in the past, and people are still looking to. And just like the God idea, that's just a created idea. There really aren't any gods, but if you want the Kalam God or anybody to be your God, they can if you want to choose the personality. The interesting thing, just like the God worshippers, they don't know who their God is. And if they saw the Kalam God, they wouldn't identify with that, the reality of who created that idea, etc., and who represents that idea, you see? Yeah, they wouldn't accept that, but they will accept the created idea that's really a fantasy in their mind that they believe in, etc. That becomes the difference. So I see the difference. You know, the sun in the sky is a rock on fire. That's really what it is. And as you see it in the sky, what you're really looking at is atmosphere, because at night you see through the atmosphere. In the daytime, because of the sun reflecting, etc., you have this blue, this so-called blue sky. That's atmosphere that you're looking at. Let's break it down properly. That's not an idea. It's really the atmosphere. And the sun in the sky, I like it. I like the visual of it coming through the atmosphere. That's really cool, because it lights up everything. That's the idea. And so again, it's a reference, not a created idea to look to. That's not the idea. But again, the literal mind will take it such, because they're one-dimensional and that's all they know. Everything is black and white. So they'll think this, they will limit themselves to that, and they will never see the true reality life is, because they've decided not to see it. They want to see the idea that they've created about it. You see?
Okay.
Thank you, Charles, as usual. It's good to see you. And everybody, it's all for you. Again, Charles, these things we're experiencing in creation, these are references. And if people want to, personally decide that they are their reality, they can do that. But it's all reference to the isness life is, you see? All of it is. So that becomes the difference. And so this is where the distortion and the confrontation and all these things take place, because people, pound each other, you might say, with their decided realities, when realistically what we're experiencing here are simply references to the true reality. To finally we get the opportunity to figure that out like never before. So we've come through all these ideas, and that's all they are, to finally recognize and see and be with this true reality, you see? So there becomes the difference. So again, but each person decides that. And especially those that control others, well, they're going to make all this funny stuff to get people to agree that it is their reality. Yeah. And then they will bait people against each other. It's just an old trick to control others and steal what they have. Well, this is the world today. But again, everything is a reference. The sun is a reference, and everything else here is also a reference. That's all it is. But again, if you think that you're just a physical body with a mind and a brain, well, then that's what you are, and you'll continue to be that as long as you consider it. But really, there's a whole lot more and a whole lot better. So we'll see you next time, Charles.
Thank you, Duane.